All right, we're going to get started. The reason why I designed a different session for today is because I received so many questions over the past 2 weeks from not just students, but parents and a couple of teachers. And that's why I'm recording this too, to share, because some folks wanted to come but might not be able to make it. Anyway, I received all of these questions about like, what is it you actually do? And I realized that we haven't had an orientation that presents that content in a really long time, like since last December, which is practically a year ago. And I feel like Lucy and her mom kind of got like a crash course in it, but would you say so, Lucy?
I mean, we learned as we went along, so yeah. It all worked out in the end.
On the job training.
Yeah.
And so I thought it would be kind of important to go back and just kind of share why we do what we do, okay, and who we do it with and how we do it. That way there's no mystery anymore. Okay. Do you know these girls?
No, I don't recognize them.
Look at them. Is that, what are they doing? Is this arts and crafts time? Actually, it is. Okay, so why academic enrichment in the first place? Who needs academic enrichment? I mean, isn't school enough for y'all? Don't you get your academic, intellectual, and social emotional needs met at school? And aren't you thoroughly fed and watered and growing the way that you should be growing? I don't know. Well, not really. I don't know, from what I've heard. My background is gifted education, so I'm used to serving students who need more. And also students who don't get what they need necessarily in their formal academic settings because maybe those settings don't speak to them in a way that engages them. Maybe, or maybe their teachers are super lame. I don't know. Maybe I was that lame teacher. All I know is that I decided we needed an academic enrichment program here. And since my background was in social science and earth science and ocean science, I thought I would go ahead and make a STEM program. And here it is. So why do it? Because kids need more, and that's how you grow. And so, let's see. Yay, it sort of works. Okay. I decided to go ahead and start with student perceptions because Marcella has to go to a meeting with her Spanish teacher. And if I had waited until the end to let y'all talk, she wouldn't be able to talk, and she has a lot to say. So I'm going to go ahead and ask Marcella to just tell me what impact participating in academic enrichment has had on your life, why you do this, what's the deal here? Please take it away.
Yeah, so obviously DiveN2Life has changed my life a lot. First off, I like the ocean now. I used to not like the ocean. Everyone knows that, but I guess the people watching this recording later wouldn't know that. So I was terrified, and now I love it. And it's where I want to go with my future area of study, definitely the oceanography route. So it's definitely beneficial to be getting all this field experience with DiveN2Life. And I mean, they take you out to do everything from like coral out planning to, well, I mean, all my experiences with DiveN2Life, I wouldn't have been able to be selected for the State of the Union, and I wouldn't have been selected for the Congresswoman's Youth Advisory Council now. And I've also gotten leadership experience within DiveN2Life on their Youth Leadership Council. And it's just so much that you gain from this enrichment, like academic enrichment, that you wouldn't get at school. And it's definitely a one-of-a-kind program.
Marcella, I feel like you've taken full advantage of everything. You know, whenever we have anything going on, you're like, yes, I'm coming. Yes, everything.
Pretty much, I'm pretty much like, Kama, I don't even know what's on the schedule anymore. I just say yes to everything, and I get there and do the homework before, and I'm like, woo! I check every day the schedule because there's just something new.
Yeah, sorry, but not sorry. So thank you, Marcella. Can I jump over to Cara and have you kind of talk, because you started the program, you were younger, you were 11, and you started with us, you know, about a year and a half younger than Marcella. And you came in during our second year. So it's a little bit of a different perspective, but I'd like to hear your thoughts about how it's impacted your life.
Sure. Can you hear me okay? I think my
Yes.
Wi-Fi is a little slow. Okay. Yeah, so when I first started, I just thought, oh, it's going to be a great way to be certified to dive, because that was my goal. I didn't really have a ton of interest in marine science. I just knew that I really liked the ocean. Growing up here, it's just what I like to do, where I like to be. But as soon as I got started, I realized that this was exactly what I wanted to do. It's where I spend all my time, my weekends, and even just as like a little 11-year-old girl, I was able to do so much more than I thought that I could. Like, I think when I was 12 was when I was elected to the Youth Leadership Council, so that really kind of gave me a leadership role that I hadn't had a chance to be in before, and just kind of see how much of an impact that I could make in the group. And then as for the scientific aspect, just seeing how much of an impact that I could make on our coral reef and our substrate in our ocean, even just as someone at that point who wasn't even in high school yet. And now that I am in high school, just more doors and more are opening. As soon as I turn 15, I'll be able to dive deep. And so I really, really love both the scientific aspect and just sort of the conservation and advocacy that we do as well. So all of the times when I've been able to speak up for our reef at all sorts of different meetings around the Keys and in other places, it just like really helps me see how much of an impact that I make, no matter how old I am or who I am.
Snaps for Cara. Yeah.
Can I add something? Just because Riley and Lucy haven't been on the trips yet, so I know they might not say much about that, but the trips that we go on are so amazing. They're so, like, because parents don't come along because you want to get that independence for students, I feel like that's prepared me for when I go to college. And I feel like fit to go in an airport and know what to do at customs now after pressing the wrong button before and getting sent through the X line. I just feel like it's DiveN2Life has also given us like real life experiences that we need, and definitely the trips are just like the best field experiences on the top of my list.
And we leave the airport too. We don't just stay in the airport.
Right. We leave the airport.
Yeah. One thing that I learned, you all know Karen Neely. She's at Nova Southeastern now. She used to be on our board. She was our secretary. And one thing that she told me when you take kids out of the country or even in the country, but whenever you travel with teenagers, since she's a Girl Scout leader, she would say that something goes wrong every trip, embrace it. They're going to love it. It's going to be hard. They're going to be struggling. You're going to be crying. Somebody's going to be crying. But at the end of the day, you're going to be growing from that experience and laughing about it later. It might take years, but you'll be laughing about it later. And I feel like we're all laughing about the bus ride in the Bahamas in 2018 now. We can all laugh about that. I
was laughing then too.
I kind of was too. Mick, we hired a bus driver to take us around so we could see the real Bahamas, but he turned out to be a drug dealer. And no lie, we couldn't understand why he kept stopping to get McDonald's and then dropping it off with his friends. We're like, he's so nice. He's just bringing McDonald's for everyone in the city of Nassau. But then we figured it out. It was crazy.
Oh no.
Everybody got home okay, but now just maybe we'll just rent vans ourselves. Yeah. So trips are crazy and fun and educational. And Riley, can you tell us a few words about how you got involved in this whole rigmarole and why you keep coming back even though you have to come from North Carolina?
So yes, I will say my experience being in DiveN2Life is different from most students, maybe all of them. So, I mean, I've always been involved in academic enrichment since Miss Camel was my gifted education specialist in the 4th and 5th grade. And so I could even say then my passion for science and marine science kind of started, but it dwindled down for a little bit. And I eventually got, I was looking into environmental science. I'm like, wow, this is really cool. Well, last year, Kama came back up, and I was like, man, I want to talk to Kama again. That'd be so awesome. I want to tell her what I've been doing. And it was great to talk to Kama again after it'd been a few years. And she was like, do you want to go dive at Epcot with us in January with my program? And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Let's get certified and let's go dive. Let's go dive in Epcot. And well, and the rest is history. I took a couple trips down before that. And Marcella, you mentioned that you know how to run through an airport now because y'all have done it. And I haven't done it through customs, but I do it every single time. I've learned how to navigate an airport. I've learned how to raise money. I've learned how to deal with airport customer service. I've learned a whole slew of things by learning to travel. I've learned to travel too. You actually have to learn to travel. It's not something you pick up on the first time. So I have learned that, which is I'm forever grateful for. But I'm also forever grateful to be able to go to the Keys because a lot of people like don't get to go, and especially as frequent as I do. But I keep coming back because I absolutely love the people that I'm with in this program. We have a wide variety of people in the program who, want to do different things, but we're all here because we love diving, we love ocean preservation and conservation, and we love the science. And that's why I keep coming back, because I'm with people who share the same passion, and so we get each other, we understand each other. And that's a big thing for me, and it makes it really easy to keep coming back. And I am really grateful for this program. So thanks, Kama.
You're welcome. So you've been with us a year now, which the time has really flown by. Actually, you've been here a lot, and
yes.
And Lucy joined us. What, May, June? When did you come on board, Lucy?
Well, I joined at the beginning of summer, I think, or maybe it was late spring. And well, it's kind of crazy. I heard about you guys when you had first started up by one of your interns, I think, or somebody who was helping out, Mateos, right? And he had told me about the program. And I thought it was so cool because I was like, well, I'm dive certified and I love to scuba dive and I love marine biology. And then I didn't do anything about it until Delana showed up and told me about it again. And I was like, okay, this time I have to do something about it. And so I contacted you and decided to join. And I am so thankful that I did, because it's really pushed me to get out of my comfort zone and to really just experience a lot of new things and opportunities. And I've been able to make a lot of connections and relationships. Like Riley said, I mean, it's really the people too. It's not just, the diving and the scientific stuff that we do, but it's the people and the relationships that you make and the friendships and stuff. And so that's been a big thing for me, and also just the skills that you learn. I mean, I have gained so many valuable skills through this. I mean, I'd just gotten my license in the spring, and so learning how to be responsible and driving and getting to places on time and stuff for our events and stuff was really great. And looking forward to what the next semester and stuff has to hold. So thank you, Kama, too.
Oh, thank you, Lucy.
And Lucy, I'm remembering now that when I was substituting that marine biology class, right, that was up in Marathon, right? Yeah. That was the class. We talked about DiveN2Life because there was only a few people in there that day, but somehow DiveN2Life came up. And I remember, but it was just somebody was saying, oh, that's what got me interested in marine science. And right. And I remember it might've been you said, yeah, I've been meaning to get involved in that. So only that we're talking now do I realize, we talked about DiveN2Life when I substituted that marine biology class that you were in.
Oh, cool. That's so cool you remember that.
I think it's amazing how everyone is connected in some crazy way. And now you all know Riley, who I knew when she was just a young little elementary school student, and her professors, she's a senior in high school now, just like you girls, and Cara, you're a freshman, but her professors at the college where she takes classes are friends of mine, and Richie had them. It's just, everyone is so connected, and Professor Walsh is Marcella's teacher and Ainsley's and Nicole's this semester.
Yeah.
So it's just really nice that it's not just, it's like layer cake. Everybody's connected, but everyone overlaps in some neat little way. So I just think it's cool. And thank you for sharing your perceptions. I'm going to go ahead and move on with this little slide presentation. We don't really have a lot of people on here right now, but those of you who are here can see that the students who need enrichment see things in the world a lot differently than everybody else. And one reason is because they do need more. They're either gifted, talented, they possess incredible intellect, high potential. They might see the world differently in ways that are related to not just academics, but also emotions or philosophy, or just so many different ways, creativity, artistically gifted. Either way, whatever it is that brings people to the table of needing enrichment, it can also be challenging to exist in that world. And so when you've got students who are so advanced and do think so complexly and do explore ideas and concepts and even content at such a deep level, sometimes they don't fit in their regular schools. Maybe you remember feeling in school or in any type of program that, like, wow, I started this class, but I could teach it. I already know all this stuff, or please challenge me, or I want to talk about more. This is so surface level. So that's what we do. We provide more so that you are challenged and your school day is extended. The other reason we have is enrichment programming is because kids who need enrichment do things differently. They do things with intense focus, and they basically, one of the things that Lucy mentioned is that need for independence, learn to be responsible. They like that autonomy. Typically, kids who need enrichment don't want their hands held. They want independence. They want to be responsible and accountable for their own learning. And so we try to make sure that happens. And we do that by basically expecting a whole lot out of them. And when their parents try to help them, we're like, stop, wait, your kid is 12, training wheels are off. And so that's an additional way that we ensure that they are challenged. And a lot of kids who do need enrichment tend to get frustrated in their formal school settings because they're asked to do things in ways they don't want to do it, or maybe they think it's not important. Either way, we try to give them the opportunity to explore the things that we do at a level and in a way, so not just at a level that interests them, but also in ways that interest them so that they don't quit. And I mentioned intensity. Actually, I would say Cara and Riley, you two are like two of the most intense people I know, other than maybe my daughter and myself. And I've really mellowed. I'm not as intense anymore, but boy, oh boy, the two of you, with your incredible like intellectual intensity and your ability to just dive into everything and just want more and more and more and more. Do you ever get tired? You must get tired.
Yeah.
No, I really wanted to touch on that. I find myself asking why to everything, literally everything, way too often. And no, it never gets tiring, because I don't just settle for, oh, this is how it is. Why? I need to know why. Why is it like that? Please tell me, because otherwise it's not going to stick in my brain. So yes, that's also why it takes me so long to do calculus, because I can't just look at a formula and be like, I can't just accept it. Like, I have to be like, okay, why is it
with DiveN2Life, I've never really had enough to like make me actually tired. I mean, yeah, I totally get tired after a full day of diving, but not really, like not deep down inside.
Lucy, I saw you smile. You know what she means, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, definitely.
There's almost like a physical exhaustion, but your mind is still like, wait, there's more to learn. There's more to think about. There's more to talk about. Yeah, I totally get it. Totally get it. Anyway, so that's why you need enrichment. So one thing that I want to point out though, and this is mostly for the folks who will probably watch this later, is that the other reason you need enrichment is because one way that we serve students who need more or who are academically or intellectually advanced is we might have them skip a grade or two, or maybe so that would be called acceleration. And sometimes there's grade acceleration where you might like, oh, this second grader is really ready for third grade. You know, that's all well and good. But what happens when you've got like a sixth grader who's really ready for college? You know, it can be a little bit weird and awkward. Like my daughter Amber in 7th grade started college, and luckily she looked more like a 17-year-old because of just the way she had developed and her maturity. But what if she had been more like some 7th graders we know down here who look like little children? It might have been a little bit hard. And also, because I homeschooled, I exposed her to a lot of like more of the adult world because we traveled a lot and she was involved in theater, and there were just so many opportunities. She grew up on a college campus, and so she was used to being in that environment. But what happens if you've got like one of these little 10 or 11-year-old boys who, and you know, boys are a little different just to begin with. Their little bodies don't grow up and their minds aren't quite as focused yet on all of the details as the girls tend to be in our program. And so what do we do with them? Like, what if they're ready for calculus, but they don't even know how to tie their shoes yet? You know, and that is called asynchrony. So one way we can like come to the rescue of asynchrony, you know, developing at different levels, different parts of a child develop differently. And we see that in a lot with our gifted students and our students who have really high potential. We just serve them in enrichment because it doesn't matter. You can still go to school or you can homeschool and work at whatever level you are, and then your enrichment can be with interest-based peers where a teacher challenges you in an appropriate way. And then the other thing is sometimes you might go to a school where there might not be a teacher or a program or anyone that you connect with. And so that's why kids who need enrichment really do need enrichment. So that's why we do this. Right, let's see. Now, what happens to a kid if they don't have that academic enrichment, if they're not fed, if they get bored, if they start to feel like they're just going to school to go to school because they have to, when really they are starving for, you know, experiences? They can become disillusioned, they can become depressed, become apathetic, they might withdraw. And at first it might be like what we call an internal rebellion, where you're struggling with yourself, almost like an existential depression. But then you might have an actual, I like to call it an actual rebellion, where we start to see some behaviors and choices being made that might set you up for some struggles later. You know, you all have heard stories about kids who get into trouble because they like that negative attention. They kind of feed on it, and maybe it makes them feel like they're finally getting the attention they need. Or maybe they just really like acting out because it's a way that it gives them that sense of power. Either way, sometimes when you're a teenager, those decisions you make might come back to haunt you when you apply for things like college, scholarships, jobs, places in, you know, internships. When they look back and say, well, wait a minute, it says here that when you were in high school, you know, you did this, or you were suspended, or whatever. So we want to prevent any type of less than ideal choices by, not like enrichment can't solve everything, but it can help fill the gap when that gap is ever present. And so we have our program. Acceleration, so we're looking at advanced content for younger people. I treat all of you from about 14 on like university students, actually more like graduate students, because I work with gifted students, so I just assume you're all grad students by now, even though you're 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay, extension, we take what you are learning in school and we extend it. We make it a little bit more complex. We examine ideas and materials at a deeper level. And enrichment is all the fun stuff we do that helps you learn it in ways that it sticks, right? So we've got our scientific research diving. We've got studies that you work on. We've got all the things you learn and do, but we also have fun stuff. And Lucy, do you remember that picture, what you and Jake were doing that day?
Yeah, we were doing navigation, and I must admit I was pretty lost because I was still a baby diver and didn't really understand it all.
It's okay. So I grabbed some
struggling with math.
Well, you were also learning, that was Richie's navigation course, and he makes it like you all are like Navy SEALs, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
So you have to realize it was like he was training you to save your life, not just to get around the garden. And Anna, that's you driving the boat in the top. Cara, this is a couple years ago when we did our trick or treat under the sea, one of the first years. And anyway, let me move on. So why do we exist? To provide not just balloon animals, but challenge, make sure everybody has a sense of belonging and purpose. A lot of you mentioned the relationships. That's really important because sometimes you might not find intellectual and interest-based peers at school. So I want to make sure you always have that here. And Anna, you're kind of new to our program this summer and fall. One of the things the girls all talked about is, you know, what impacts DiveN2Life and participating has had on their lives. Can you think of one little thing that you can contribute?
Yes, I feel like I look at a lot of things differently because I've realized that like a lot of what, like, I don't know how to explain it, like I guess newly high schoolers think about and what they care about, and I think about like a lot of just like non-materialistic things, I guess you could say. And I also made a lot more friends with DiveN2Life, and just I experienced a lot more that I can take further than other things that some high schoolers I know take.
Sometimes high school students and middle school students and even college students, I'd forgotten how sometimes they can be focused on stuff that might not be as important to you. And that can make it really hard to connect with them, right? Like, what do you talk about? Like, oh yeah, I saw that TV show. Yeah. Meanwhile, you're like, I have never seen that TV show. I don't know what you're talking about. I remember that. I don't know if all of you know Curtis Hall from National Park Service. He's out at Dry Tortugas, and he's joining us because we've been planning our exciting Dry Tortugas trip coming up in October. Hi, Curtis.
Hi. Actually, I'm out here right now. I'm on Loggerhead. I'm enjoying the beautiful night sky, as you can see. So I'm happy to join. Nice to meet everyone, or virtually meet everyone.
Well, we've just been talking about why we have this program in the first place. And if you can see the slide right now, you can see that it provides all of these things. And one thing the girls like to say is it also gives them bad RAS skills because they're bad RAS divers. So, you know, we like our fish. Okay. So the way we structure the program is we start out with what I call nurturing and beginning enrichment for ages 8 and 9. Those are our littles. They're scuba rangers. They start out, we learn how to dive in the pool, and then when they're about 9.5, we take them for confined open water training, usually to the Content Keys, because it's pretty nice there. You can bring a boat in, and it's really shallow, like 4 or 5 feet, and they can one-on-one with an instructor, they can dive and swim around, and it's just really cute to see how excited they are to finally be diving. And you know, they see a fish and it's like the biggest deal. It's like some little, you know, mangrove snapper, and they're just like, oh my gosh, a fish. So they have to come up and talk about every fish that they see, and it's cute. And then once they're 10, we train them formally to scuba dive. They get their junior open water rating, and then we go ahead and kind of infuse some in-depth enrichment and some mentoring. That's a picture of Cara there applying, was it an antibiotic ointment when you were working with Karen Neely that day when we were down there kind of working on the reef a couple of years ago, huh?
Yeah.
And then once you get to be 14, going into high school and all through high school, and that's Lucy and Cara at our summer program, we kind of turn up the heat. You know, I call it serious, intense enrichment, but also academic advising, and give you some research opportunities, every possible opportunity we can connect you with. And we just make sure that you're growing and developing those, not just scientific research and science skills, but also the diving skills. So we train you up as a dive master. You can even get your instructor and your captain's license ratings as soon as you turn 18. And we want to make sure that you leave our program as an AAUS scientific research diver. That way, when you go to college, you're already like basically a senior as far as dive and captaining and just experience, because a lot of universities won't even train you. You can take scientific diving like a basic class at even the College of the Florida Keys, but for the most part, the larger universities want you to have a purpose for taking that course, you know, be involved in research that you design or be assisting a professor. So we want to make sure that you have that opportunity before you go to college, so you can show up and just be useful right off the bat. And so Marcela had to go to a Spanish meeting, but I just included some pictures of some of the stuff we do. And we've been working a lot with macroalgae, because macroalgae, it's everywhere these days, especially sargassum grass. And so we're really involved in collecting it, drying it, sending it off to the lab to be analyzed for nutrients. And it's just a whole lot of fun diving in the seagrass beds and collecting the sargassum. Sometimes it comes on the boat along with the divers, not just in the collection bags. But so, you know, it's hard work, but it's fun. And this was from our summer program. We have a field school that lasts the month of July. Usually when there's not a global pandemic, we travel in June for a week. We do an international trip. Then we have a month-long summer program in July. And then we end that with a week, the first week of August, traveling internationally again. That didn't really happen this summer, but we did have a month-long program in July right here on Big Torch, or actually Little Torch Key, and nobody got COVID. I don't know how we survived, but we did. Yeah, I know, right, Curtis? Yay, nobody got COVID. But so these pictures, we show the girls making their quadrats because, you know, why not? Might as well make them. And then, of course, they immediately start working underwater, learning all of the research skills you need to collect data. So it's not just learning how to develop a research study or proposing questions that need answering. We also help collect data for PIs, principal investigators, and also just for the experience of learning how to do it. And as you can see, our research divers in training are very much perfectly positioned in the water, which I like to see. So like I said, we start with the youngest ones, scuba rangers. This is me in the pool with Cara's little sister when she had just turned 8 years old. We use turtles to train them, stuffed turtles. They hold them. That way there's never any issue with sculling. Our students don't scull. They don't use their hands at all. We have them hold turtles to swim, and then eventually we just hand them cameras, and yeah, they never use their hands, which is great. I think I'm gonna start doing that with adults, but I don't really train adults. But anyway, then we move on to middle school, ages 10 through 13. And this picture is kind of old. It's from 2016. And that's Marcella when she just started 8th grade, which is so funny because she still has braces. She was such a little kid there. And then our next group is our high school students. And those are ages 14 through 18. And I think all of you are there, aren't you?
Yeah, that was a really good day. I loved that.
Do you remember what you were doing?
Yeah, we were doing water quality and sorting out sargassum.
Yeah. So not just collecting the water samples, but processing them for the lab. Which, by the way, every time we go diving, I come home and I do that. It would be great if I didn't have to do that myself every single time. So feel free to take that responsibility. I'll just give you everything you need, and you can put the bottles in your freezer until it's time to send them up to Harbor Branch. All right. Earlier, y'all talked about the Youth Leadership Council and the opportunities you have to serve. So Cara is our new president of the Youth Leadership Council, and Lucy is our secretary treasurer, and Riley is our vice president. Marcella is our immediate past president. And basically what y'all do, I don't know, what do you do other than inform us about what you want to do? Cara, what do you think your mission is right now this fall?
Well, this fall we're focusing a lot on fundraising so far, but obviously that's not our only focus. We're also just kind of a voice we are oriented around the kids, but just even more so that they feel comfortable talking to kids like them, because I know that sometimes I like to hear things from people that are closer to my own age. Like, I love adults and I love learning from them, but I also really love just learning from my peers. So we're kind of here for that. Also just more of the people who are always willing to go out and on occasion, whenever Cama's like, hey, want to go diving this weekend and do some water samples, we are the ones who are always like, yeah, sure. And we've really just kind of got our mess together.
There you go. That's true. You do. Are y'all planning an activity for after our rescue class on Sunday, the 11th of October? I feel like we're going to go do something with mangroves.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if someone else wants to talk a little bit more about it, but right now we have a plan to, I forget exactly where, I think it might be in the Little Torch Key, if I remember correctly. And we're going to go collect some mangrove seeds. Riley, do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Hey, 1 second. Curtis has his hand up. Curtis?
I did. Cara, and this is kind of non-related, but about 3 years ago, did you do a science project on stony coral tissue loss disease and present in the science fair at Sugarloaf?
Yes, and I remember you were one of my judges, right?
Yeah, I was like,
yeah.
She looks familiar, so I thought that was a really good project. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought so. All right, thank you.
Yeah, that's a really busy weekend. Friday, we have dive master training and leadership training. Saturday,
whenever I'm coming, it's a busy weekend.
Dry torch. Sunday morning rescue. Sunday afternoon collecting those propagules. Cool, very cool. Thank you. We have college internships. Here's Katie, who was our intern this summer. And as you know, we do our research service learning travel. Cara, that was Puerto Rico. I found that picture and I was so happy to see it because you look like such a traveler. You got your backpack on, you're taking pictures.
I have so many pictures from that trip. I still go and look back at them all the time.
It was a lot of fun. It really was. And so this was last summer before the COVID. Started the summer session with Puerto Rico, ended it with Grand Cayman. I'd like to do that again next year, but maybe we'll go somewhere else. I don't know.
Awesome.
Okay, so this is what this is parent and teacher feedback. And this is what they've all said that they've noticed about our program. And so I just wanted to share it with you because I'm not so sure you get to hear what the parents and your teachers think about this stuff that we do every weekend. Can you read it? Do you see it? It's big enough? Yeah. Teachers have pointed these things out, parents have pointed it out, and I'm like, yep. So I think we must be doing something that works. The fact that your principal is letting you have off from school, Cara, how did you make that happen? It's crazy.
Well, I just have really good grades right now, and I'm on top of everything. And my marine bio teacher in particular, I always talk to him about the stuff that I'm doing, and they just think it's a really great opportunity to get to go and do science instead of school. So, especially since it's online, it's a lot more flexible.
Yeah. Yep.
Our marine biology professors are awesome, I will say. Camo referenced this earlier, but my marine bio professor, I actually went on a field trip with her, a couple, right, Camo? When I was in your program in elementary school. But yeah, I just want to put that out there. Marine biology professors are awesome.
Okay, so if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. Somebody with situational awareness skills, tell me what is weird about the picture of me diving. And I think Cara took that picture. I'm pretty sure it was Cara. It's not untangled. I reversed the picture. It's reversed.
It's routed on the opposite side. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not. I reversed the picture. So what I did, because I wanted the picture to be that way, I reversed it. And as soon as I did it, I'm like, hey, that's not right. It's not over my left shoulder.
Yeah, that is right. That was weird. That's weird.
I know. So I left it because of our obsession with situational awareness lately. I just thought it was so crazy cool. I'm like, whoa. Because when you flip or like reverse a picture, that's what happens. Anyway, I left it on. Just because I thought it was so weird and cool. Just do it. Take some of your pictures and flip them or reverse them, just for fun. Anyway, yeah, and that little picture of me down in the corner was the day I successfully defended my dissertation. So that's the day basically that I became a doctor. And so I put that on there because it points out that even though I like to be underwater, I do have some terrestrial responsibilities too.
I like that.
Yeah. I got that word today from Curtis.
I unfortunately have terrestrial responsibilities.